Attempts and police intervention, her cries for help were ignored.
I really believe if they'd, the mental health team had taken the time, even if they hadn't listened to me, listened to other professionals, I really believe my daughter would still be alive.
3 hours after being sent home, Hannah strangled herself, her body found by her distraught mother.
This was an appalling case of wholesale failings repeatedly by different practitioners on a day-by-day basis over that 10-day period when both Mandy and Hannah were frantic to get help. There's no amount of compensation that can even begin to be a gesture towards truly making good.
If someone turned up at, A&E with their leg hanging off, bleeding, there's no way anyone will come out and say, I'll go away and we'll call you back in 3 hours. It just wouldn't happen, and just because you can't see mental illness and there's a huge stigma still attached, it needs to be changed. People need to see it differently.
She's calling for greater sensitivity and cooperation between agencies and better resourcing for mental health services. Southern Health say they are working hard to learn the lessons of the past and have apologised for letting Hannah down. In a statement, they said the use of inappropriate language by a clinician in this case was not acceptable. The member of staff in question was not employed by Southern Health and the matter was dealt with by their employer at the time. Mandy now wants to turn her energies into educating children and young adults about the signs of mental illness, a legacy for Hannah.
I need to keep my daughter's spirit alive. There's no justice, there's no closure, but I need to somehow keep her name alive.
Rachel Hepworth, ITV News in Southampton.
And if you were affected by anything in that report, you can contact the Samaritans free on 116123. That's 116123.
A man has been charged in connection with the deaths of 2 young runners who were killed after being hit by a car in Aldershot. 16-year-old Stacey Burrows and Lucy Piggott, who was 17, died in November. Michael Casey, who's 24 and from Tottenham, has been charged with 2 counts of causing death by dangerous driving. He's been released on bail and is due at Basingstoke Magistrates Court in March.
A third person's been arrested after a man was shot in the head in Waterlooville. He's in a critical condition in hospital. The woman, who's in her 30s, is being held on suspicion of conspiring to murder. 2 other people are in police custody on suspicion of attempted murder.
Brighton and Hove Albion footballer Rohan Ince has told a court he didn't hit a nightclub bouncer with a bottle on Christmas Day. The assault allegedly took place outside Attic nightclub in Windsor. Ince denies the charges and the case continues at Reading Crown Court.
Bosses of Southern Rail met with workers' union the RMT today for talks over staffing.
Well, a deal may have been struck between Southern and the drivers' union ASLEF, but the RMT is still locked in a battle with the company over the role of conductors on trains.
Well, with the very latest on the talks, our transport correspondent, Mike Pearce.
Well, this is the first time this year both Southern and the RMT have been together for peace talks. As things stand, both sides seem as far apart as ever. The prospect of a settlement is remote.
The RMT is insisting on a second person on all trains that had them before the dispute began, saying it's better for passenger safety.
We want a second safety critical person guaranteed on that train, or the dispute continues, and we will be talking to our reps and members to see what more action that they want put on.
Southern says it will roster a second member of staff, but wants drivers to operate services by themselves if the guard is sick or late because of disruption, so they don't have to cancel trains. The drivers' union ASLEF is currently voting on the deal with an announcement due on Thursday.
I don't really think they're all that, to be honest. Even with the industrial action stopping, I still think they're dreadful.
It's better, a lot better at the moment. Yeah, they're the usual kind of running late every now and again, a few cancellations, but a lot better than it was.
Fairly good as far as I'm concerned. Come from Croydon, and I haven't had any problems with the trains at all.
Well, the talks here at ACAS have continued all afternoon, and of course, while there's talk, there is hope. But both sides do remain very far apart, and the prospects of peace do remain remote. Mike Pearce, ITV News at ACAS headquarters in London.
Sussex Police has chosen Valentine's Day to publicise people they want to have a date with. They are all wanted by the force, who are appealing for the public's help to trace them. They include Lucia Biffy from Littlehampton, who's wanted for shoplifting offences, and John Casey from Burgess Hill, who failed to answer police bail after being arrested on suspicion of burglary.
There's a warning today for people using the internet to find love. Beware of con artists. A Hampshire police campaign features a woman who lost £20,000 to a man she spoke to for 3 years online. She also has a criminal record after she was duped into laundering £200,000.
More children are being diagnosed as autistic when 30 years ago it was considered a relatively rare condition. Then it was 1 in 500. Today it's 1 in every 100 young people.
Well, much of that could of course be down to better awareness, but its cause is a mystery. However, it leaves a generation of children and their parents struggling with the sensory overload of modern life.
Well, now some respite is being offered in perhaps the most unlikely of places, a supermarket in Crawley. Here's Andy Dickinson.
For most of us, supermarket shopping can be a weekly, even a daily chore. But for adults and children with autism, it can be a nightmare. A bombardment of sights and sounds that's all too much.
It's hard because of the noise, the amount of people, the lights. Everything is just quite challenging. He'll run off, climb all over everything.
I get upset and stressed and start kicking off. It's the noise and the feelings of everything going on.
Yet this particular store is trying to make a difference. It started offering a quiet hour just once a week, in which that battle of the senses is turned down. Lights are dimmed, music is switched off, maps are handed out and a special checkout opened.
We really want to do anything within the community where we can. That's part of the job that we do. And this is a prime example of just small changes that make a big difference.
While the benefits may be obvious, people coping with autism say they also feel less judged in an environment where they once felt shunned.
I just don't feel like I'm being stared at or spoken about, so it's kind of helpful.
It makes it easier for us as parents as well as for him to be able to walk with us, pick up products from the shelves, which is, we never thought we would be able to do.
We've had thousands of families across the UK contact us to say, can we have this in our store, because this is what we need. We've been crying out for it for years, and to see it actually come to life and actually not be that much of a strain to Tesco's but make a huge difference to the families is a phenomenal success, I think.
75% of parents of children with autism said visiting the supermarket was their most isolating experience. Organisers hope this 6-week trial could now usher in a national change. Andy Dickinson, ITV News, Crawley.
You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thank you so much for choosing us. Coming up.
Spinning into town, Brendan Cole talks to us about his new show and about who's going to replace Len on Strictly. Will it be him?
Find out. And for more on all of our stories, you can head to itv.com/Meridian. You can also call us or get in touch via Facebook or Twitter.
Some breaking news in the last half an hour. Talks have collapsed between the RMT union and Southern Trains. The two sides have been locked in talks in London today in a row over staffing changes. Well, it's easy to say and easy to do, but thousands of people are struggling with money, and you should never underestimate the effects it has on people's health.
The average debt in the ITV Meridian region is more than £12,000, and the charity Christians Against Poverty says it gets lots of calls for help.
Yes, its research found that 80% of people have had sleepless nights over the money they owe. 66% have lost their appetite and skipped meals. 37% of people in the south have had suicidal thoughts.
And as a result, 27% of people in debt have suffered from poor mental health, including depression. With more now, here's Johnny Blair.
Julie Parker is constantly on the road visiting the homes of people who are deep in debt.
First visits or second visits or subsequent visits.
Recently, she's been making more and more of these journeys. After a decade in the job, it's never been busier.
When they actually get the courage to ring, to phone, they are really in a desperate state, just not knowing what else to do. They've tried everything. We do get those people that are calling that the next step is suicide. Hi!
Hiya.
Behind the smiles is a serious subject. Escape routes for debt are closing.
So how's things been this week?
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
A feeling Ray knows well. At one point, he and his partner owed nearly £50,000.
It doesn't bear thinking about. I actually thought my debt at the time was lower than it was. We didn't realise how far the debt's gone because you don't look at your credit card statement anymore.
As debt increased, so too did the stress.
You never rest. You cannot settle ever. I was getting dozens of phone calls every day. Sometimes it'd be a debt collection agency, sometimes it would be the person I owed directly. Sometimes it would be multiple debt collection agencies chasing the same debt. I think my record was over 40 phone calls in one day. And at that point you realise there's a real problem.
So while I'm here, Ray, if you don't mind, I'm just going to go through, open up your budget plan, have a look through it and just see if everything's stayed the same.
Ray used his partner as motivation and, with help from the charity, went from ignoring bills to facing them head on. Yet he is just one of many clients Julie visits. She says people are not fast enough to ask for advice. A point of view mirrored by the charity's own statistics of people in debt it's helped. Across the UK, 33% of people surveyed had waited between 1 and 3 years before getting advice. 33% had left it more than 3 years.
Talking about debt is still quite a taboo subject. And people are very proud and they don't want people to know, so they've probably spent a long time trying to cover things up and make out things are okay when they haven't been, so they don't know what else to do.
For more and more households, debt remains a huge problem. But the message from one man who's lived through it is keep moving forward, and it can get better.
Since you went debt-free, you were able to get married?
Yep, got married on the 7th of June. We were gifted a wedding dress. I made my own outfit, and then we're able to move on as husband and wife. It was, end of a chapter with debt and the start of a new chapter with a married life.
They then travelled to the charity's HQ to say thank you in person. There are, of course, many different charities which offer help, but all of them want the same thing. A happy ending. Johnny Blair, ITV News.
And if you need help with debt, there are contact details on our website. You know the address, itv.com/Meridian.
OK, time for a bit of sport for you. Bournemouth is still looking for their first win of 2017. Their defeat at home to Manchester City last night means they've now gone 7 matches without a victory. In a hard-fought game, it was the visitors who took the lead after just half an hour through England winger Raheem Sterling. Although Bournemouth had their chances, it was City who wrapped up the win when Tyrone Mings put into his own net, although Sergio Aguero will doubtless claim it.
Now, for fans of Strictly Come Dancing, Brendan Cole can increase the pulse almost as fast as his quick step.
Apparently so, and now there's the chance to get even closer to the dancer as he comes to our region on his UK tour.
He's performing his all-night-long show in Oxford, Aylesbury, Southampton, Basingstoke and Poole over the coming weeks. Emily Knights has been to meet him.
Brendan Cole doing what he loves the most, performing. But this time it's all his own work. Everything you see, all down to the last tiny detail.
It's completely mine. I don't have a production company put it on and then I swan up and do a few numbers. My life and soul goes into this show and developing it and choosing everything, whether it be the costumes, the dancers, the musicians, the music. Everything must be right because an audience wants to be entertained and I want to have the best show out there.
It's not just Brendan on stage. There are 14 musicians and 8 dancers, including live singers, bringing together all the elements of the Strictly experience with a variety of dancers.
Something that's really important to me is the live performance and the band. If you think about what we do, we've got guitarist, bass, drums, percussion, a 6-piece horn section, 2 singers. They are as important to the show as the dance content because people want the full Strictly experience. And to have this, I mean, I just absolutely love it. Look at, I mean, the lighting. The guys work so hard on the road to make this the production that it is, and we get to come and be at the front and do it.
Please. So dance with Cinderella.
And of course, I can't not ask you about Len leaving Strictly and all the who is going to replace him as a judge or head judge or a judge. What's your sort of reaction to all the sort of suggestions that it might be yourself or Anton that takes that role?
I'd like to think that the BBC would at least consider me for the role. I've put my hat in the ring. I make no bones about it. But whoever they choose will be the right decision for the show. And yeah, I keep telling the audience my new catchphrase, which is Bren's Lens. I'm trying to hoping it'll catch on.
Brendan's all-night-long tour is on until April.
I just love what I do. I'm a very lucky fella, and we're all lucky. We genuinely have the best time on stage, and you can't ask for more than that in your job.
Emily Knight, ITV News.
Now, if you're lucky, your partner was torn between indulging you with chocolate treats or taking you away for a romantic break this Valentine's Day.
Well, you could help them out of their dilemma by suggesting they combine the two. A group of chocolate-themed hotels in Bournemouth has launched with what's believed to be the UK's first all-you-can-eat chocolate buffet.
Oh, at twice daily sittings, guests can help themselves in a room full of nothing but tempting chocolate goodies.
First of all, before you even get there, is the smell of the chocolate throughout the building. And secondly, when you see it, there is a massive choice of chocolate items for you to sample. The rooms are themed on chocolate. There's free chocolate and reception in the bar, in their rooms, etc. Plus, on top of that, they can have chocolate cocktails and they can have a chocolate class, chocolate tasting, Belgian truffle making, even paint your own portrait in chocolate.
Talking of Valentines, perhaps roses are the alternative.
Yes, in fact, almost 8 million blooms have arrived here in the UK via Heathrow Airport this month alone. That's around 570 tonnes.
Well, most of the flowers sold in the south and other parts of the UK come from abroad. So today, of all days, can we rekindle our relationship with the British flower industry? Here's Lauren Hall.
Beautiful blooms, ready to be given to that special someone.
Of course, it's traditional on Valentine's Day to get flowers for our loved ones. You may even be lucky enough to receive some. But do you have any idea where these come from in the first place?
It seems we have a long-distance relationship with our bouquets, not just on Valentine's Day, but all year round. Nearly 90% of cut flowers sold in the UK now come from abroad. Over the past 30 years, the value of imports has grown from around £122 million a year to £666 million. This florist is finding it harder to get hold of British-grown flowers. Hers now come from all over the world.
This year our red roses will be coming from Ecuador, the carnations come from Colombia, and then the majority of our other flowers come from Holland where they are grown. And now we are down to just sort of locally one supplier of English flowers.
Here it is, a nursery which specialises in Alstroemeria. It's a family business which has been going for 4 generations, but the boom in foreign imports is having an impact on them.
That's ridiculous. We've got to this point. We're only 3 acres here, but we throw away tens of thousands of stems a year because supermarkets, wholesalers, they just get in the cheap foreign imports and you just can't compete.
Ben's now campaigning on the issue. He wants to promote British flowers, which he says are fresher and more sustainable, so better for the consumer and the environment. We spoke to shoppers to find out how much they know about the flowers they're buying this Valentine's Day.
Are you going to be buying any Valentine's bouquets?
Quite possibly on the way home tonight there will be a purchase.
Yeah, you know, if they've got any left in Asda, might go there.
And do you give much thought to where the flowers come from in the world?
Never actually have thought about where they come from, no.
Would it surprise you to hear that nearly 90% of them come from other countries?
Yes, it would, yeah.
Never knew that at all, never.
And how does it make you feel?
Well, I'd rather they come from this country.
Well, we should be able to go around, shouldn't we?
I think they probably would last longer if they were picked in this country.
Would you like to buy flowers from England?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's clear there's a long way to go, but it's hoped this Valentine's Day more of us will fall in love with British flowers. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
By British, absolutely. Time for Simon now. Hello, Petal.
I have brought you some flowers. Bless you. On your desk, you'll find a tin of carnation. best I can do. But who needs hearts and flowers?
Yes.
Well, you can have hearts and potatoes.
Oh.
Nothing says romance and Valentine's Day like a heart-shaped potato.
British one, I hope.
Well, I think so. That was Lynn from Arborfield sent that one in,
well
and
done,
they're
Lynn.
popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
This one here from Jean Pigeon, look, is pink as well to go
Yeah,
with the
a
mood.
bit warty too.
Elsewhere in the veg trade, there's more romance to be had. Sam Carey found this heart-shaped, park-grown green pepper inside another red pepper and thought Valentine's Day when it was found. And a slightly less disturbing heart in the form of a cloud. This is from Jamie Lee Deards, age 12. Taken a few months ago, but Dad Daniel thought it was more appropriate for today.
Absolutely right.
And Valentine's Day wouldn't be Valentine's Day without a couple of lovebirds. Peter Kesby found our lovey-dovey swans for us. And finally, and you'll like this one, Greg Parker of the New Forest Observatory using a mini wasp refractor array. Yes. Well, you would, wouldn't you? Of course. That's the Heart Nebula in Cassiopeia. So there you go. Valentine's from not just this country, but all over the galaxy.
And romantic weather to go with it?
Probably not.
Probably not. Let's find out the worst. Simon Parkin.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, we have had some fairly amazing pictures turning up in the Meridian weather at itv.com inbox recently and being tweeted to me too. This one turned up on my Twitter feed. That there is a 737 winging its way to Malaga, cut across the moon and captured by Mark in Bournemouth. Now, of course, you don't actually need a plane to escape the bad weather because, well, there's not that much bad weather around. Yes, tonight's a little on the damp side, but once we get through to tomorrow, bit of a battle going on. We got high pressure down to the southeast of us and we got low pressure to the north, and in that battle it's the high pressure that's going to win. So any weather fronts that try and come our way are going to be killed off by the high pressure. So nothing too bad to look forward to. Like I say, bit of dampness around this evening, certainly some patchy light rain clearing away northwards, then a lot of dry weather through the rest of the night. There'll be some hill fog, bit of murkiness around, some low cloud too, but very mild temperatures. We'd be happy with, well, 7-8 degrees by day at this point in the year. That's what we've got overnight tonight. So we will wake up to a frost-free start tomorrow. Bit of grey around first thing, and then we'll see some showery rain start to push in from the southwest. And as it travels north and eastwards, there will be some heavy bursts in there. But as it clears later on in the day, we'll see a bit of brightness developing from the west later. And the temperatures, well, not bad at all. 10 is 50 in Fahrenheit. The wind not quite as fierce as it was today, particularly along the coast and around the Isle of Wight. As for your high tide times, well, you can see in Portsmouth around 2:10 in the morning, then 2:15 in the afternoon, and then generally settled for the rest of the week. Yes, there'll be a fair bit of cloud around, but at least we're dry and with some bright spells too.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
In just a moment, we've got the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Stacey's got our late news, but for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thanks for watching. Have a lovely, romantic evening from all of us here.
Lots of love. Bye.